Allgäuer Bier Edelweissbier.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. This is the first Weissbier I have had in a fair amount of time, I have to say. It must be it's months, I know that. And as you may or may not know, Weissbier is one of my favourite styles of beer. I say that about every German style of beer, but Weissbier really is one of my favourites. I remember when I first discovered it in 2016, and my mate got me a bottle of it by accident, and I didn't really like it. And then I remember, I was living in that hellhole that is Buckhurst Hill in Essex, and they were selling it in the supermarket across the road, Waitrose, the biggest fucking rip-off ever. But they were selling Weihenstephaner in there, and that's why I discovered it. And yeah, they even had the Dunkel in there as well, and that was it. I was hooked. I couldn't drink any other beer apart from Weissbier, and I think I must have got a year where if they didn't have Weissbier in a pub, I didn't really want to go in. There was nothing that would sate my craving for Weissbier. But I've since tried much better Weissbiers than they serve up over here. The big fare that you get over here now is Franziskaner. That's quite big. Now there are of course other Weissbiers out there that are widely available. You've got Erdinger as well. Don't get me started on that shit. As you may or may not know, I fucking detest that stuff. It's horrible. However, I was in a Marston's pub, and this is what's putting me off. It's distributed by Marston's, and I'm convinced that Marston's are brewing it. But I did have some on tap a while back. Me and the missus went out for. We was out somewhere and we stopped off in a pub, and it was a Marston's pub, and the fucking offerings on tap were fucking horrendous. Like, they had Marston's Pedigree, which at one point I did quite like years ago. You could get it at Lord's, and it wasn't a bad pint. But now I just detest Marston's beer. It's just not good at all. But they had Erdinger on there, and I thought, fucking hell, this is the best out of a horrendous bunch. And I had some, and it didn't taste like a Weissbier, put it that way. So there you go. Anyway, I'm digressing. This is the Allgäuer Büble beer. It is a genuine Bavarian Weissbier from Allgäuer, which is near the Bavarian Alps, would you believe? And I've tried a few of their beers before, and they've been quite good. I had no complaints. I've just this minute tried their Helles, their Bayerisch Hell. It's quite nice. Not outstanding, but nice. It held its own amongst the average Bavarian Weissbier, Helleses, I should say. Weissbier's got fucking Weissbiers on the brain. Between the Bavarian Helleses, and you have to be good, in my opinion. You can't be subpar in Bavaria, because I just think there's so many good beers there. People aren't going to buy it. But there you go. Anyway, Weissbier. Yeah, I love it. Can't get enough of it. Banana and clove, from the yeasty esters that are prevalent in German Weissbier, is my kind of thing. This stuff, never come across it before. It was brought over by a mate of mine from Germany, Norby. Thank you very much for that, mate. He's got relations that live up in Allgäuer, and he said that this is the stuff that they drink. Now it's got 13.94 on there, but the Allgäuer Büble beer range didn't come into the 1950s, so this range of beer that this is from has only been around relatively recently. Now I say 1950, that's over half a century away, but in German terms that is quite new. Oh, right, let's stop waffling, let's get this investigated. Right, this is a Weissbier, as I've just said. It is a 500ml bottle. It is 5.3%. Conforms to the Reinheitsgebot. Well, no, well, does it? No, it doesn't really, because, well, it does, because wheat is allowed under the purity laws, but yeah, you can argue how good the purity laws are. You know my views on that as well. Ingredients: water, Weizen malt, which is wheat, Guster malt, which is malted barley, hop extract. Oh, no hops. To be honest, the hops aren't big in German wheat beer. They normally put something like Hercules in there to give it a little bit of a fruity aroma, but yeah, it's all about the yeast when it comes to Weissbier. And of course they do mention that it does contain yeast, which is not always the case in a lot of German beers. They don't mention the yeast content. Yeah, that's about it. It's just saying it comes from a region called Kempten, which is, of course, is in Swabia, which is in Bavaria. And that's about it, really. Not much else to say. Here's a look at the label. It's the Büble beer. I mentioned this on the last one, but can you imagine putting a little baby on a can or a bottle of beer in the UK? There would be fucking uproar. The nanny state would go into meltdown. Yeah, load of fucking PC nonsense. Fuck off with that shit. Let's get it open. Let's see what's going on. Right, again, another flip top bottle. These, as I say in as I said in the last video, these are becoming quite prevalent because they're quite eco-friendly. You know, you can use these again and again. Here's my Weissbier glass. It's fucking massive, and there's a reason, because when I use the normal Weissbier glasses, they tend not to get everything in the glass, and with wheat beer, you really do need to get everything in ye olde glass. Now, there's a trick to pouring wheat beer. You do about 3/4 of it. You give the bottle a swirl, because there's usually sediment at the bottom, and you want to get all of that sediment in there, because that is where your flavour is. Can't sometimes do that with a normal Weizen glass unless you've got time to pour it. Now, Weizen normally has quite a big head on it. That's got a massive head on it. That would be bigger if it was in a narrower, smaller glass. Naturally carbonated, of course. You do get a lot of carbonation in Weissbier because of the yeast content. They are bottle conditioned, top fermented bottle conditioned beers, and they taste mighty fine. What are we getting on the aroma? Oh, have I missed that aroma. That banana and clove. Now, this style is a bit, I wouldn't say it's Marmite, but some people get put off by it. If you're a dedicated lager drinker, or you're not really into wheat beers, then it's a bit of a stretch coming from a lager, because these are what some people call medicinal, and the medicinal element is the clove element, and that puts a lot of people off. Some people call this banana beer. Sometimes you do get quite sweet banana Weizens. Certainly the who is it? The East German brewery, whose name escapes me. Einsiedler, that's it. Their wheat beer was really nice. It was quite sweet as well. Quite nice bubblegum esters as well, which is another type of flavour that you get from the yeast on here. There's bits of dust on the top list. This shows you how long it's been since I've used this, but yeah. Oh, there's quite an earthy element to that as well, which is interesting. I wonder where that's coming from. Not as sweet as a normal wheat beer. There is the banana and clove, that's there, which I would expect, but there's a very earthy element to it. Interesting. Let's see how it tastes. Zum Wohl, as I say in Germany. Oh, quite nice. Very nice. There's the usual banana and clove element to it, which you'd expect. That's a given. But there is quite a wheaty, bready malt type finish, if you can imagine that. It's very grainy, but in a good way. That last, it's relatively big. Let me dive in again. Yeah, nice. Very, very, very subtle bitterness on the finish. Now, there are variations on what type of finish you can get from a German wheat beer. Sometimes, and I have noticed this in the Patronus wheat beer, which is the Aldi own brand? No, it's Lidl. It's one of them too. They do their own wheat beer called Patronus. I think it's Lidl, and that has a very subtle sour element to it. And it could be argued that that's bad yeast, or spontaneous yeast that's in there. But it's quite nice. If you're a fan of sour beers, then and wheat beers, you're going to like that, which I do. But I can imagine that's not going to be for everyone. Then, of course, you get the other end of the spectrum, where it's quite sweet. And as I just mentioned, the Einsiedler wheat beer is of that persuasion. The Franziskaner too, I noticed that's a little bit on the sweet scale. This is not sour, not sweet. There's more of an earthy element, which I think is potentially coming from the hops. Still good though. There's enough of the yeasty esters of banana and clove. Even slight bubblegum as well. Now when I say bubblegum, I mean, like, have you ever tried a juicy fruit chewing gum? That type of, when they talk about bubblegum, it's more chewing gum, in my opinion. I liken it to the juicy fruit. Remember the old juicy fruit? I don't even know whether you can get them or not now. But I never really liked them when I was a kid. But that's what it reminds me of. And it's got that bubblegum element to it. And it's quite nice, I have to say. Yeah, going down very nicely indeed. Absolutely no complaints about that whatsoever. I don't think it ranks up there with the best of them. And when I say the best of them, I'm talking about Schneider Weiss, who in my opinion do the best. Weihenstephaner, who I don't know whether I can separate the two of them. I've said in the past that they're just millimetres away from brewing the best wheat beers in Germany, and I still hold that opinion now. Maybe I should do a shootout with them, but it's going to be so... Oh, or have I done it already? I think I may have done it already. Can't remember. It's been so long ago. I really have neglected this style of beer, and it's a real shame, because at one point this was all I would drink, and to go from that to, as I say, not having any for... It's got to be at least 5 months. You're probably going to prove me a liar now. Look it up on the channel. If you look up on the videos, there's probably going to be one there. But yeah, I do like the style. I more than like the style. It's one of my favourite styles. That and Doppelbock are my two favourite styles. And you might find that unusual because I don't have a sweet tooth, but you could argue that these are relatively sweet beers. I would say the clove gives it just polishes off that sweet edge to it. Yeah, nice. It's good. No complaints. As I say, not outstanding, but nice. It was a bit like the Helles. The Helles was good, not outstanding, very drinkable, very nice. This is the same. What is the verdict on Allgäuer Büble Bier Edelweissbier? Very nice indeed. Doing everything I would expect from a Bavarian Weissbier. It's got the banana element, it's got the clove element, slight bubblegum element to it as well. There was an earthy overtone, which I assume is coming from the hops, which you don't normally find in most wheat beers, but it was quite nice. It gave it a little bit of a twist, and it also polished off that little bit of a sweet tone that it's got on it. But yeah, all in all, no complaints whatsoever. I could drink a fair amount of these, believe me. Very nice indeed. Yeah, a solid 8 out of 10 in my opinion. Well worth checking out. Is it the best? No, it's not the best. There are better wheat beers out there. I think Schneider Weiss and Weihenstephaner, as I've always said, just take it to another level when it comes to wheat beer with their variations as well. But this is a solid contender. I'll tell you another good one, Hacker-Shaw. I do recall trying a Hacker-Shaw wheat beer, and it was the last one in a pub in Maidstone, the Sellers Arms. Very good pub if you're ever in Maidstone way, and they do some really nice locally brewed beers in there. But they did at one point stock a lot of German beer, and they did stock Hacker-Shaw, Keller beer. They stocked the Weissbier as well. And I remember going in there one night, and I said, "Have you got any Belgian beer?" And he came out and he said, "We've only got these two." And he had I think it was a bottle of Westmalle and a bottle of the Hacker-Shaw stuff. And I said, "Give me that Hacker-Shaw and right now." And it was lovely. So yeah, Hacker-Shaw do a fantastic wheat beer as well. But all their beers are good. Hacker-Shaw are probably out of they call them the Big Six in Munich. I think they're the most consistent brewer. They have 10 out of 10s for all of their styles. And if you want a real treat, try the Superior Fest beer. That is amazing. Check out my review on that. Absolutely blew my mind. Amazing stuff. But this stuff, yep, 8 out of 10 all day long. Solid 8 out of 10. Very nice wheat beer. Very in keeping with the style. No complaints whatsoever. Just not as good as the others I've mentioned. So there you go. And remember, beer is working class champagne.